Thank you all for coming. I'd like to thank my opponent, Mr. Serba, for being here today, as well as the other candidates. I am Tim Williams. The question that should be asked today is, do you believe Waynesboro is better off today than it was 8 years ago? Most of the people I ask say yes. Despite the economic downturn in the nation, Waynesboro has prospered and benefited from decisions that I have made. High-tech industry is returning to Waynesboro. I remember when PGI announced its expansion in Waynesboro, there was news of another city losing mega industry because of a poor economy. Waynesboro has transitioned to a commercial and service economy, so we as a city aren't as dependent on those mega industries as we once were. Successes are many. Improvements to our bridges and roads, our water treatment plant, our sewer treatment and sewer lines, improvements to the downtown, improvements in our parks. The first phase of the Greenway is complete, and the second phase is already underway. PGI and PPI times zero, recent new industries locating in our city of Waynesboro. Lately, school funding has been an issue of great concern to many, including myself. Although only one of the issues that we're facing as a city, economic development, police and fire department issues, and infrastructure needs. These are also core responsibilities that I believe needs our attention. I am ready to work with the school board to effectively resolve this recent issue of funding with a plan based on good judgment. I have been in these situations before, and I know the situations that we are facing today, and I know that they can all be solved. I'm asking for your vote on May 1st. Thank you.
Appreciate that, Tim.
Thank you.
What I'd like to do is to start out, I'd like to tell you a little bit about me and my family and then go into some of the issues. I grew up in town. I went to school here, I graduated from here. My daughter went to school here, graduated from here. My wife went to school here, graduated from here. My dad had the skating rink from 1958 all the way up to 1976. And a lot of you have familiar faces out there, and I'm glad you actually came to see. But, you know, we have made a lot of progress. These guys have made a lot of progress in the last 8 years, but we've also lost 3 major companies too. So those are the things we have to look at. We're adding revenue, but we lost $3.5 million in machine and tool tax. So let's look at some of those things. The other thing is, he talked about the schools. The schools have to be fixed. I had a conversation with somebody yesterday, and when I was in school back in the 70s, 60s and 70s, the school board and the city got along. They had no money issues. If they needed money, it became available. So what we have to do now, we have to work, our administration has to work with the school administration all year long on these budgets and not make it a crisis when the budget comes out. So I think we'll get into that in the next question. Thanks, Ken. But anyway, thank you very much for coming.
Hello, I'm Bruce Allen. I represent Ward B. I was born in Waynesboro, had my childhood in Waynesboro, went to elementary school in this building, graduated from Waynesboro High School behind us, and I have worked and lived in and around close proximity to Waynesboro all my life. I continue to think that I will retire here once again when I finally retire. And I have 3 children who are ages 19, 21, and 27, and 2 of them graduated from Waynesboro High School and 1 from Wilson High School. I have a 5-year-old grandson who will be attending Augusta County schools this fall. So I think that I'll still be connected to the community when it comes to schools, to the city, to being a taxpayer, to being a retired person that wants to live in a safe and secure and prosperous city. It's kind of easy here now because the first two people have already said something that we need to say. I think we have made progress over the last 4 to 8 years. I think we're moving in the right direction. I think that we have all concerns. I don't know if Mr. Bryan is here today, but normally he likes to talk a lot. One of the things he said the other night is this is not all our fault here. We have to look at our state representatives and at the cuts that they're putting on us, taking the money still that comes out of our tax dollars to go to Richmond and to Washington, but then giving us less services back. I look forward to this debate, and thank y'all for coming today.
Hello, my name is Robert Donaldson, and I do work for the city. I do work for the Waynesboro Fire Department, and I started out there back in 2001 as a volunteer, and then got hired in 2003. I've lived in Waynesboro all my life. I grew up just down here on Maple Avenue, and when my parents bought the house, this school just closed, and that was one of the reasons they bought the house, figuring we could just walk up the hill and go to school. But that didn't quite work out for us. But I did get my education from Waynesboro, and I graduated from Waynesboro High School, and then I went on to Blue Ridge Community College and got an associate's degree in electronics. But this year I decided to run for city council because I believe that Waynesboro needs to go in a different direction. And what I mean is we've lost touch with the people. Our elected officials need to be more involved with the people, and that's what I want to represent, because that's what it's all about. And that's why I got into this race. And there's been big issues because I work for the Waynesboro Fire Department that is going to be this huge conflict of interest. But the city attorney and the Commonwealth's attorney and other attorneys have called me this week and said it's not. Because I can't vote on anything for the fire department. But I know how to make the fire department and other city departments run more efficient to give the most back to the taxpayers as we can to make everything run smoothly. And that's why I'd like to have your vote on May 1st. If you want to cast your vote to energize the city, cast it for Robert Donaldson. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Excuse me, my name is Laurie Smith. I'd like to begin by thanking Mr. Lucent for his service to the council over the last 7 years. The timing of this debate and talking about our older persons issue is very timely. We have a new plan from the Virginia Department of Aging, and we have new census data out. And these numbers are important because what they tell us is that by 2030, we'll have 1.8 million people that are over 65 of age and older. 1 in 5 Virginians are going to be over 65, and 700,000 Virginians are going to be caring for their spouses, their children, and their grandchildren. This is the state of affairs that we are living under and can expect. So what do these numbers mean? These numbers for me mean that we've got to have a city council and we've got to have a community that is jointly engaged in talking about how we plan for not only what we need to be doing now for our seniors, but what we need to be doing in the future with an understanding that these numbers are going to increase so dramatically. And the next logical question that we have is, where is the money going to come from? I'll talk a little bit later about what VPAS is doing, but my plan that I bring to this election is one of not raising taxes and not one of cutting services further, but it's one of bringing business and industry back to Waynesboro with higher paying jobs that we know are going to be critical for the residents that live here that don't have jobs any longer, and those of us that can't retire, don't see retirement on the horizon anywhere. So one of the things that I think that we've got to be very cognizant of moving forward is how do we keep our eye on the ball? My plan will get the job done. But I do want to be very clear in my opening remarks about two things that have been out there on the political campaign trail over the last few weeks. I am not going to give money, additional money, to the Wayne Theater, and I am not going to blindly give $3.5 million of your money to purchase property with no plan for future return on investment. Thank you.
My name is Frank Lucent, and I too thank Lori for running, because everybody after serving 4 years wants to know what the people think, and this gives us a chance. And Lori has some different views than I do, and one of us will come out victorious, and maybe the other one will come out even more victorious. But As we get close to Election Day, I want to make clear some of the concrete differences between myself and my opponent. While Lori and I served on the council together, we voted on the tax rate twice. Both times she voted for a tax rate that meant people paid more taxes. She will tell you that the rate went down, and it did. But the rate is not what's important. What matters is how much people actually pay. In 2007, they paid 23% more on average, and in 2009, they paid 6% more. Both times I voted against those rates. Both times they passed on a 3-2 vote. Lori voted to give the Wayne Theater $300,000 and pledge hundreds of thousands more. I voted against it. As the News Virginian made clear yesterday, she still supports public money to the Wayne Theater. I do not. In the time that I have been on council, we both brought dozens of new businesses to town, both large and small. We made Waynesboro into part of the #1 micropolitan area for economic development in the state. #1 and 13th in the nation. The city's revenues have gone up on growth, not tax increases. And we've done all this while not cutting city services, upgrading our infrastructure, and maintaining the 7th lowest tax rate in the state. This is critical because I believe that we need to protect the people who can't afford tax increases, including those who live in poverty and senior citizens on fixed incomes. I have challenged city government to be more efficient and live within their means, the same way we citizens have to. And the city has answered that challenge, and the fruits of those labors are starting to pay off for them in the form of raises in this budget year, and the citizens in the form of better services. Thank you.